Alright, so we're here on the grade of the Port Arthur, Duluth and Western Railway. We are at the narrows between Little Gunflint and Gunflint Lake, and we're going to be exploring a little bit of the Gunflint and Lake Superior Railroad, this little logging line that was owned by the Pigeon River Lumber Company. So here is the grade of the Port Arthur, Duluth and Western looking east, and as we turn this way you can see the grade continuing this way to the west, and it is here where the two railways intersected. And so I'll walk you on a little bit of the grade here. You can see that it's very, very heavily grown in. Right over here we actually have some traces of the railway. This is probably closer to the original junction spot. You can see way down here we have a couple of spikes. And so the grade of the Gunflint and Lake Superior would have continued this way. You can see some of the rock fill down here, and then some of the rock fill here on the southern slope of the Port Arthur, Duluth and Western. And then the Gunflint and Lake Superior continued this way in a southwesterly direction towards the lake and crossing into Minnesota. Okay, so we're a little farther south here on the grade of the Gunflint and Lake Superior. The grade itself is just right down over here. You can see it's kind of hard to see with all the growth. But what we came across here is a very interesting little find. Obviously at some point someone has gone through the effort, whether when they were removing the rails or sometime afterwards, somebody has collected a nice little pile of spikes here. So you can see there's quite a bit of them scattered through. So it's a kind of a nice little find. Alright, so we're back here on the grade of the Gunflint and Lake Superior, and we are just a little ways from the location of the spikes. So here you can see the grade forms a little bit of an embankment. You can see the surrounding area here. There's a bit of rock here to the northwest, I guess it is. You can see once again how heavily grown in this is. Back before the 1999 windstorm that blew down millions of trees, this used to be a very well-used trail, most likely used by snowmobilers. See all the deadfall. See, it's a little wet on the east side here. It's a little bit easier to see the path of the grade with a lot of the leaves and grass not out yet. And so the railway continues this way in its southwesterly direction. All right, so we're still here on the grade. We are just a little bit farther to the southwest of where we were. And once again, the railway is entering another fairly open spot. One of the neat features about this location here is you can see way up here on the top of this rock here, this white post. You can make out in the text it actually says international boundary. And so it is one of the boundary reference markers for the Canada-US border. And so here the railway continues this way. You can see once again it's slightly elevated above the surrounding area. The bush this year is very dry. There's actually a fire restriction because of that. You can see some of the ditching work here on either side of the grade. And the railway keeps turning this way until it gets closer to the lake. All right, so we're still here. We're just a slight distance from our last segment. And you can see here the line is entering a small little cutting. You can hear fishermen over on Little Gunflint, which is just over there, going through the Narrows. One of the early weekends for fishing. Over here you can see one of the international boundary reference markers, another one. And if we actually go here, we can see that they are all numbered. So obviously this is on the Canadian side, and not sure if we can make this out because of the sun here, but the number on the side is 1127. And you can see now, as we enter into this area here, you can see that there is more cutting even on the eastern side. And you can see here, as we get into a more open area, you can see how well defined the grade is with the cutting on both sides. And then it's just from here, it's just a very short distance up into those trees up there to where the railway crosses the boundary into Minnesota in the United States. So we're here on the shores of Gunflint Lake, and we are just a short distance from the grade of the Gunflint and Lake Superior Railroad, which is just a short distance over there. And so we're here in this somewhat open area, and there's another one just north of us here. And so these two locations were the site of what we presume were two buildings belonging to the Canadian government, which were used as customs houses and residences during the time when the railway was operating from 1902 to 1909. And what we've done here is we've done just a quick little excavation of a spot that we've located. And so the items we recovered were from here. They were removed from a depth of about 4 to 5 inches in the ground. And here is just a small sampling of the items that we removed, and we will be putting back in. And so you can see there are all kinds of nails of different sizes and different diameters, looking very old. You can see the heads are quite unlike the ones you would see today. We also have things like a spent cartridge, and that appears to be possibly a .30-30 caliber or something like that. You can see that there appears to be items that this might have been a fire pit of some sorts. You can see that there's what appears to be two pieces of glass fused together here. And also you can see over here that these two nails have possibly been fused together. Whether that happened as a result of sitting in the ground for so long or the heat of a fire. But it's certainly a very interesting find, and it certainly gives us a lot of information as to the fact that there was some sort of building located here.